Good morning and a warm welcome to the ODPP Café. My name is Anita Onuko. We apologize for starting late. We had some tech issues, but they're now sorted. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are glad that you're with us. We are live on Facebook at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. We are also on Twitter at ODPP_KE, and we are on YouTube at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. We welcome you to join us, and we welcome you to join the conversation. We welcome you to invite people to also join us and get to understand how the criminal justice system works. Remember, this show is brought to you to sensitize you, to educate, and to inform you about how the criminal justice system works. So each week we have different topics, and of course this week we've been talking about case management system, and we're going to catch up with it in a few minutes. So feel free to join us on the comment section. We will sample your questions and comments at the end of the show. So as always, we start with a quick sneak into the courts this week, just to give you a preview of what has been happening. And the usual disclaimer is that this is not exhaustive. We are just going to we've just picked on a few that we think we should bring to your attention. But of course, a lot more has been happening, and we appreciate that. So I'm going to start with the court cases this week. For one, there was a Willie Kimani murder case. The prosecution presented its 45th and last witness. Can you imagine that? In the murder trial of Willie Kimani, so there were 45 witnesses. Josephat Mwendwa and Joseph Mwerori, Special Prosecutor Nicholas Mutuku, and Senior Prosecution Counsel Betty Rubia submitted to court all evidence that has been gathered. Charged for this case were 4 police officers: Frederick Leliman, Stephen Cheburet, Sylvia Wanjiko, Leonard Maina, and a civilian Peter Ngugi. However, prosecution's 45 witnesses, Chief Inspector Clement Mwangi of DCI said he had received a confession from Peter Ngugi. I think this is the last, they were just saying they presented the last witness for this, the 45th witness on the murder trial of Willie Kimani, Joseph Mwendwa, and Joseph Mwerori. I needed to take 2 on that because it wasn't clear at the beginning. So testifying before Lady Justice J.C. Lesit, Inspector Mwangi said the evidence gathered from mobile phone data had placed Peter Ngugi in the scenes of crime pertinent to the murder. He added that Ngugi's confession implicated Olele Liman and Leonard Mwangi. Inspector Mwangi also told court that Stephen Cheburet and Sylvia Wanjiko, who were on duty at the Syokimau Administration Police Post, failed to follow proper booking procedure by failing to record the arrest of the deceased persons in the occurrence book. So this case has been ongoing for a while, and that is the status as of now. The other case, and not a story, is that the ODPP tabled a report to the Senate. The ODPP submitted a report to the Senate Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights on Wednesday, September 8th, that was this week. The DPP Nuruddin Haji acknowledged evidence, tampering, intimidation of witnesses and victims, and interference with investigations as top of the challenges that the ODPP faces during prosecution of cases linked to police brutality. We've seen a lot of cases about police excesses, and the ODPP was tabling a report to the Senate Committee this week, and this is what this story is all about. The DPP gave some challenges that the ODPP faces in prosecuting those cases. So in 2020 alone, the ODPP received 80 cases of police brutality. That was from October 2019. The cases heightened in the country with the introduction of the curfew brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. And you have seen a lot of these cases around. Ukishikwa bila mask and all that, what happens to some people. The ODPP will use data collection and analysis methods to assess the scope of this problem. So we'll wait to see how that goes. The other case we have is about 2 directors who pleaded guilty to forging documents of another company, and they were sentenced to 22 months imprisonment. Wilkista Ndanu and Patrick Kingoro pleaded guilty to 11 counts of forgery. They were charged with forging minutes from CR19 and resignation letters of the directors of Group 7 Security Company, Abdi Sahal and Hussein Hassan, purporting them to be genuine and valid. So these 2 directors are going to get 22 months for forgery, and they pleaded guilty to this. So the minutes were confirming the resignation of Sahal and Hassan as directors of the company, a fact they knew to be false. In their mitigation, the 2 said they were remorseful and were willing to return the company to the rightful owners. The court sentenced each of them to 2 months imprisonment with an alternative fine of 20,000 imposed on each count. That was a forgery case. The other case we have here is about a woman and her 2 relatives who were charged with theft of cash, electronics, and perfume belonging to a US citizen, all worth over 4.6 million. Kevin Michael Quinn accused Judy Onchiri, Wilson Mumanyi, and Haron Moranga of the robbery that took place in Langata, December 3rd, 2020. So this woman and her 2 relatives were charged with theft from this guy called Kevin Michael Quinn. The prosecution submitted that the trio stole Michael's MacBook Pro, 3.8 million in cash, iPad valued at 230,000, and perfume worth 113. They also stated that the police recovered the items in Langata. All the items were recovered apart from the money. The trio denied the charges and were released on a 300,000 shilling bond. And the other case here is about the Kianjakoma case. The cops have applied for bail. We've discussed bail and bond here too in this show. And remember, we keep saying that everybody has a right to a bail and bond, but there are some conditions that have to be sometimes are placed on the application. So 6 police officers who were charged with the murder of the 2 Kianjakoma brothers applied to the court to be released on bail. The 6, Benson Mputhia, Consolata Karaoke, Nicholas Cheruyot, Martin Wanyama, Lillian Chemuna, and James Mwaniki, through their lawyers separately, filed bail applications. Remember, it's within their rights to ask for bail. And even, it's in the Constitution. We discussed this a while back. The officers are remanded at Industrial Area and Langata Women's Prison. The bail application will be heard on 22nd September this year. So there's even just a quote there. Article 49H of the Constitution, Kenya gives an arrested person the right to be released on bond or bail on reasonable conditions, pending a charge or trial, unless there are compelling reasons not to be released. So usishtuke ukiona wameapply bail useme wameachiliwa. So thank you so much. Once again, that was just a quick sneak into the courts this week. Of course, there's more happening, and you can follow that through the traditional media and other social media platforms. Today, we are here to discuss case management system. The case management system went live in Makadara. It was in the news, and we saw that clearly the ODPP is moving now from analog to digital. And with me today are 2 very important guests. They've been here before, but I still want them to introduce themselves. They've been here before discussing other stories and other topics. But today we are here with them to discuss case management system. So join me in welcoming the 2 gents today. I don't have a lady, but I am the lady today. So karibu sana, Mr. Meroga. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Madam Anita. It's an honor being invited.
Again? Yes.
And it's also an honor for the viewer joining us.
Yes.
My name is Meroka PH, a team leader, Kibera Law Courts. Thank you.
Karibu sana. We are with Mr. Meroka discussing rights of the accused and the victims, and I keep insisting he has to come back. Anyway, karibu sana, Kadebeji, introduce.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be back here again. The name is Eddie Kadebe. When I was here last, I was wearing a different designation, as it were.
Yes.
Now I come back as the head of station for Makadara. You've mentioned Makadara as having rolled out Uadilifu, so I'm sure people are keen and interested to hear what I have, what I do, and how that is working.
And how you do it. Yeah, so we have this...
Meroka has started it as well in Kibera.
Oh, it has also got, it went well live in Kibera. So leo tutaelewa hiki tu. So we were here with Prosecutor Onunga and Lulu discussing case management, and we got to understand the IT bit of it and how it works. But now, because your stations have gone live, you have to tell us how this works. But for the sake of the person who was not here for that discussion, we want to start with some definitions, just a bit. And just to start, what is case management system? Karibu.
Case management system is a process of incorporating whatever activities being undertaken in a matter, from the investigation, from the decision to make a decision to charge, the trial, and up to the conclusion. This information will be now stored in an electronic model. The benefit of it is that now it's easier for us to answer to the citizenry the requirements within the Constitution that we need to be transparent. We also need to be accountable, and we also need to be efficient and speedily in delivering our mandate as an office of the DPP. We have a service charter that requires us to respond to these issues within not more than 4 days. So through the case management, then you can now easily know who is handling what and at what stage is it reached. We might not answer it within the 4 days to the public, but where there is no requirement to consult to supervisors, then within our span of 4 days, we will have gotten a communication back to the investigation. So case management starts from the reception of the file within the office, processing of that file, making a decision to charge, preferral of the charge in the court, trial proper, conclusion of the trial. And that is really
Case management. It's a whole system.
it's a whole system.
Yeah.
If I may equally
Yes.
just speak on something and add on to what Meroka had said, and I wrote it down, it's important, so allow me to
Yes, you are allowed.
to make reference to it.
Yeah. So case management is a whole system from the time you receive the file from the investigative agencies to the time you complete your trial.
Yes.
All right.
So this is what I got, and I got this from Collins Dictionary of Law. It says this, that case management, there are salient aspects of this definition that buttress what we are trying to achieve as the ODPP. Case management is the proactive approach to processing a legal matter. So it begins with being proactive. It comprises various techniques, Meroka has spoken about a few of them, and seeks to avoid a process which requires or relies upon reaction.
Okay.
Now, that definition is critical, like I've said, to what we are trying to achieve as the ODPP rather. It calls upon us to be proactive and not to wait to respond to situations or circumstances. So by incorporating the use of ICT, placing and leveraging our services at a level that we are prepared for the public before the public questions us. We are prepared for the consumers of our product before the consumers question us, is what exactly goes into case management. We know what our case is, we know what our duty is, we have documented the processes, we have communicated back to the public in good time to ensure that we are efficient. If we are in charge of that entire process, then that is what a good case management strategy and process is.
Good. So how was it before? Because you talked about being proactive. Now we are proactive. But then how was it before?
Chaotic, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
And perhaps we need 3 hours of this show to just answer that one
Yeah.
question. But we come from a position where, of course, we know as the ODPP what we stand in the gap to do in terms of our mandate. So we would have to wait for the investigators to conclude the investigations or to reach at a point that they felt they can forward the file to us. Because it still relied upon a hard copy file to be brought to us, we either had to make a duplicate photocopy of it or wait for the officers, for the investigators rather, to do a back and forth with the file, which meant we were that at that point we were not in charge of the information in the file, as it were. And we had to rely upon a third party to constantly supply us with the hard copy file. Number one. Number two, that because then you're not in charge of what you have at any point in time, you cannot make a determination of how quickly you can respond to the situation. If, for instance, the investigator communicates that they'll bring the file to you on Friday and you want to make some sort of decision by the Monday that follows, if that file is not brought to you by that Friday, it means that you also delay in making your decision by the subsequent Monday, contrary to your planning. And therefore, in short, we're not in charge of a lot of timelines that went into our decision making and the process and everything attendant to it. And that had to change, I believe. And so now the investigators, yes, are still doing the investigations, but once we are seized of the file, immediately, like Meroka had said, we convert that file into a digital format that now is with the possession of the
So the
ODPP.
conversion takes place at ODPP?
Yes.
So you still have to wait for the file to come?
At the end of the day, we are not investigators. We do not
Yes.
know what they are doing,
Yes,
so to
yes.
speak. They
Yeah.
finish the investigation, then they submit the file. But once we have the file, the entire process from that point on is within our control.
Ah, okay. When did Kibera go live?
We started on Monday.
Ah, you're just as new as Makadara.
Yes, we started on Monday.
Yeah.
We were doing dry runs, and also when the system was working with the teething problems, but we ended up now doing all traffic matters. We anticipate, God willing, that by mid next week, all pleas from Kibera will be received.
You can take
and
Makadara as well.
Oh, yes.
Received and processed
Yeah.
from our station. The benefit of that then we are now able to manage time better. Two, that the officers are now accessing our office faster and easier than
Who
when they
now?
were
The
coming.
investigators?
Yes, the investigating officer than when they were coming to the headquarters because of the traffic snarl-ups. So we anticipate that will help us. And number three, we are also now we are decentralizing to make work easier at the grassroots level. And we applaud that the DPP allowed that we go local for purposes of making the service delivery more efficient at the grassroots level.
So I don't know, just bring it home. I mean, what does it mean that traffic cases are now being handled under the system? What does it mean for me as a motorist?
Maybe I need to begin it from this level.
Yes.
The judiciary ran with case management system, CMS, in the month of, I think it was January or February last year, due to COVID. Just before COVID, but it then picked up during the COVID period. The benefit, the requirement then was you must file everything online. Now from then the ODPP picked up and also ran with this process. During that time, because of the infrastructure hardship, we were using the infrastructure of the headquarters. Now that the office has been has managed to secure infrastructure to decentralize at our grassroots levels, now we are able to load those documents to the courts from our.
Oh, so before you had to come to the ODPP headquarters
At
to
Ragati, yes.
Because the infrastructure
was here.
Was here.
So the police, the investigative officers had to come here.
Yes.
Oh, so we are saying we are not going to see a lot of them here now.
Precisely.
But if you see many of them, probably they would be not from Kibera and not from Makadara. You might see an increase from other locations that are using this.
Yes, they're still here.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. That's quite interesting. So the case management process begins at the ODPP.
Yes.
But there are different actors. How does that work? How do you interact with the other actors, and who are they?
Within or without?
Without.
Like we always say as prosecutors, our work begins when an investigator's work ends. And therefore, in as much as we are talking to the public today about case management and what we are able to do and achieve as the ODPP, our work will only be as good as the quality of investigations as well. And therefore, it begins at the point that an investigation has been started or progressed or concluded. And perhaps as I respond to that, and I don't know what my brother will equally add, let's look at the collective situation currently. The police or the National Police Service currently have a digital OB.
There is?
Yes.
In the police station?
Yes.
That is news, as you can see.
And therefore, from their perspective as an actor in the criminal justice system, they are digitizing their own processes.
Yes.
Mr. Meroka has said that the judiciary, largely due to COVID, but it was in the pipeline anyway, has equally digitized their processes.
This is the e-filing.
The e-filing. So we were not to be left behind.
Of course.
And the conversation at the ODPP on digitizing our processes as well did not begin yesterday. It has actually been there for quite some time. Such that now we are in a position where ideally, you have a digital record from the police, you have a digital record from the ODPP, and you have a digital record from the judiciary. Now, we are not the only actors in the criminal justice system. There are other people who equally work with us.
Yeah.
They are at various levels of converting their processes to be on a digital platform as well. But what does that mean? That in the ideal, there are hiccups here and there still. In the ideal, I should be able to have my information today communicating the same position as the police, communicating the same position as the judiciary. From investigation to the decision to charge with us and the process of then moving to court,
Yeah.
to trial that is happening in the courts. That ought to be streamlined, and we ought to be seeing the same thing. Yes.
So, I'm just now from what you're saying, is it possible that the digital OB is connected to the case management system?
Perhaps not.
Not now or not ever or not yet?
I can't speak of the future.
Not, is there a plans for those, for
Yes.
such a system?
Yes.
Yeah.
But let's put it this way. Not all complaints at the OB require the attention of the DPP. Some of the complaints might be a civil of nature,
Okay, yes.
right?
Yes.
So ideally and going forward, the ODPP will be receiving a file from the police in a digital format. We are heading there. We are not yet there, but we are heading there. That is the ideal situation. The beauty of that, then, we can now have a full cycle of reassessment of the whole chain.
Yes.
From receiving the complaint at the OB, the pre-investigation stage, at the timelines of the investigating team, the delivery to the DPP for purposes of processing, whether to charge or not to charge, the trial in court, and the conclusion of it. That's when we'll now have an efficient full cycle of a justice sector.
I am tempted to ask when, because it sounds like a very good system.
We are heading there.
You're heading there. Okay.
Technology requires that we make moves, but sometimes you make stops because of the technological challenges. So that is doable, but not today.
Not today.
But we are heading there.
And it also calls for a bit of investment, including financial investment, infrastructure as well. Meroka and I cannot sit here and pretend that we are all at the same level, especially as between the different criminal justice actors. So maybe one is moving a bit faster than the other, maybe one has a bit more resources available to them. But as a collective unit, that is what the ideal is.
It sounds really good. Like when you talk about it, that's how things ought to be.
Yes.
Do it.
From the OB, it is electronically sent to ODPP, then judiciary, and the case.
We hear cases, and I suspect maybe you may ask that at some point in time. We hear cases where someone goes to the police station to find out the status of their case. What they are told there is different from what the prosecutor will tell them should they come to the ODPP, and is different from what they will find out when they go to court.
Okay. So what are the features of this case management? I know I've discussed that in the show here before, but just again, for the sake of just teaching us some more, what are the features of this system? There are 5.
Now you are talking about the modules.
The modules, yes.
The modules which we are embracing is 5 prongs. We have the case management itself. It's document reception. That one you receive, the office receives a physical file. The moment at the reception level, then it will be given a QR code.
Nkombele, QR code.
Now with that information, then we scan all that file.
Yeah.
We put it in our digital format. The beauty of it is that whomever now acts on that file, we must have a QR code access into that file. The beauty of it also is you, at whatever instance, you can easily identify at what stage this matter is, who is handling it, and what was the determination by that desks.
Okay.
If the file has been dispatched, you can easily explain that to any complainant or anybody who wants to know the progress. The second benefit of that, it is giving the prosecutors an accountability model, such that you know Meroka woke up in the morning, handle 17 files or 4 files, and this was the determination.
Okay.
The third benefit of it is that the supervisors are now able to know who is handling what and what are the actions they need if the file required their attention. So I handle a file if I feel there is a need for my regional boss to have a comment on it. I will have forwarded it to him on email, and then the boss will now have an opportunity to reassess my brief on that file. Fourthly, this helps the management to know where to place resources.
Yes.
Because resources should follow where there is workload. So for as long as the office is able to account for each and every prosecutor or officer within the building, then you can know who needs what, where to reallocate resources. And then finally, it also helps the office to be accountable both to the exchequer as well as to the citizenry. Where are we getting this funding here? And how can we justify what we got? And finally, of course, equally on that is how will the DPP justify an additional resource reallocation, both financial and human resource, in the event to perpetuate an effective and efficient system. So that is how the whole process of documenting comes in.
Yeah.
Then we go to the second tier of e-filing. That is really what as we have been running with.
Yeah.
We receive a file, we make a decision whether to charge or not based on the evidence on the file. And if we have made a decision that we are charging, then we will now process the file, we scan it and put it online, and then more importantly, we now send the charge sheet to the judiciary.
So this whole file is scanned?
Yes, the whole file is scanned.
Oh, okay.
Then we go to the third tier. We have the third tier of data capture.
Yeah.
Right? That helps us to know what work are we doing and how are we able to be accountable to the citizen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
There are two others.
There are two, yes. But then what is important is, how do I benefit as Anita? How does this whole thing benefit me? Because it looks like it's making your work easier. The criminal justice system, it's easier. I mean, things, work moves. But now, how do I benefit?
Let me borrow from my good friend Meroka and deliberately use a few words he has used.
Yeah.
One, he has said effective and efficient. And what we aspire to be as an office is exactly that. Effective and efficient.
Yeah.
And through Uadilifu and embracing ICT and the technology that is available to us and when we make our processes and our outcomes effective and efficient, it means we become predictable.
Is that a good thing?
Very. Because what the average Kenyan out there wants to know is that once the investigators are done with the investigation and the DPP has made a decision to charge in relation to my case, the system is wired in such a way that after 2 years, 3 years, however long or short it is, the shorter preferably the better. After 2 years, my case will be concluded because the DPP is efficient and effective and becomes predictable through the use of the tools he has. Then I'll be a happy citizen knowing that after 2 years, my matter will be concluded. And therefore, we are able to say, for instance, we are able to process 50 cases per quarter or 100 cases per year because we have an idea of how long it will take.
But when you say that, it doesn't mean that you are saying you can complete 50 cases. You've just processed 50 cases.
There are push and pull factors that may affect a few of these things. Availability of witnesses and exhibits, how available equally the judiciary is, how many matters are being filed in totality. But this is what we are saying, Meroka and I, and the ODPP as a whole, that let us be in charge of what we can as the ODPP and communicate to the people of Kenya that we will take care of your issues within such a time frame because we are efficient and effective. Okay? Yeah. Meroka used that. He equally said something that is a concept of management, that essentially what he said is what gets measured gets done.
Yes.
If you're able to say that through Uadilifu, I can process this number of cases either in a day, in a week, in a quarter, in a year, and you have allocated the right resources to that particular aspect, be it human or otherwise, then you're able to measure your success at any given point in time. You're able to say my turnaround time as an office once I receive a file to the time it exits is X number of months or years or days. And therefore, you begin to do that which you purposed to do. I repeat, borrowing his words, for as long as we are effective and efficient in our ways and our processes, the mwananchi out there can equally be comfortable in knowing that the ODPP will take care of my case or my business within a certain point in time. Number one. Two, we've always said as an office that we do not exist in silos, and we are not necessarily conducting our affairs in secrecy. And therefore, if we are able to document and have a good record of what we are doing, we communicate this as well to the public. They have a right and duty and a legitimate expectation to question us and our processes. If Mr. Meroka from Kibera can know that my prosecutor X has this number of files, these files are coming to court at this point in time, they will be concluded at this point in time because he has the digital format of the file and does not have to wait for the file to be brought to him. He can therefore communicate to the people who are coming to him for services and tell them, look, we have a plan and purpose to finish your matter in the next 2 hearing dates. By the time we come next to court, we are doing a defense. Barring any calamity, we'll finish your matter in the next 6 months.
Wow.
And you instill confidence, one in the ODPP, but the larger criminal justice system, because you're able to predict certain processes.
Yes. Good. That's very interesting. Yes.
Just
Meroka. Yeah.
You asked, what is it store for you? E-disclosure. It's also a model within our system.
What is e-disclosure?
E-disclosure requires us to inform the accused person of the evidence that we have or we intend to use in the trial.
So this information is on the system?
Yes, that's another format now. The disclosure, it honors the constitutional requirements under Article 52, I think, J, if I'm not wrong, that we must give back the information we intend to rely on to the accused person for purpose of preparing for his defense. Now, how do we do that? For a long time, we have been giving physical disclosure, supplying of the statements. But now we even have the Majanja decision, which requires that we can supply the information we have to the defense through online.
Okay.
The benefit of it, no one can now say, Anita, I did not give you this. Because whatever I gave you, there is already a schedule of what you received. So that back and forth fighting of technicality for purposes of avoiding a trial in a material day is taken care of.
Is eliminated.
Secondly, that both the accused person and the complainant can have access to this information so that as we prepare for the trial, everybody is ready. And more importantly, that we will stop this clamor that you must get a court order for you to get the evidence the prosecution intends to have on you.
That's very
because it's a constitutional right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
it's important, sorry to cut you short before your next question. It's important that we say this at this point in time, both Meroka and I. The reason why he's saying everything he's saying, especially in relation to disclosures and e-filing and updating of the status of your case, is because Uadilifu right now is integrated with the judiciary system.
The e-filing.
For the case management system. Yes.
Oh.
So that I can file, and Uadilifu is a powerful, powerful tool. To the prosecutors listening to us this morning, it is a powerful tool. We have not even explored the limits of what Uadilifu can do for us. You upload and you file your submissions electronically. The judiciary gets them immediately. You exchange your documents, confirm with the judiciary that you've shared with the defense, they get it immediately.
Wow.
Pleadings, applications, arguments, the whole regime that goes into what a prosecutor does in terms of going to court. Not can, has been taken care of by Uadilifu. And sometimes we forget one thing when we speak of Uadilifu, and I've heard this from prosecutors. It is not tailored only to work in the magistrates' courts. That's not how it's wired to work. At all levels of criminal prosecution or trial in this country, prosecutors who go to the High Court can access and use Uadilifu today. Prosecutors who prosecute in the Court of Appeal or appeal all the way up to the Supreme Court can access and use Uadilifu today.
Wow. Interesting. It's powerful, like you're saying.
Yes.
It's quite powerful. I'm just wondering, when you talk about e-disclosure, there's always a discussion about pre-trial conference. Is this killed as well?
It's not killed.
Eliminated? Sorry. Eliminated.
Pre-trial is an opportunity
Yeah.
for a prosecutor to plan how to attack a trial.
Pre-trial is a meeting between who and who?
It's a meeting between a prosecutor, the investigating officer, and the witness.
So it is not, doesn't include defense.
No.
Oh.
For purposes of trial, it can be two prongs.
Two,
Okay.
yes.
The first prong is where the prosecutor is preparing himself
For trial.
To mount an attack. What evidence do we need? Who presents what? And at what stage should it be called? And more importantly, it also prepares the witness what to expect in a proper trial because of stage flight. Then the second pretrial is where the court summons the pretrial between the prosecutor and the defense for purposes of arranging how our trial will be conducted. So you see, those are two prongs. The one for the prosecutor is arming ourselves on how to attack in the trial.
Yes.
The other one is the modalities on how the evidence will be taken. In the court pre-trial might include that we are not saying we don't need four witnesses to coming to say one thing. Can we knock them off? Are we contesting that there is death? So that we need to get a pathologist himself, or an investigating officer can present a postmortem. So those are the logistical arrangements in the conduct of the trial.
Okay.
Yes.
So doesn't this, the second one, the one that has the defense and the court, should it also have the timeline for the trial, the expected timeline?
It does.
It does.
Because you've seen the problem we have here is delays of court cases. So should this take care of that?
Ideally, it should.
Ideally,
Does
it
it?
should. But like you've said,
Yeah.
in this show this morning, and I think even speakers who have appeared before us today, let us be in charge of our part of the process
I like
as
what
ODPP.
you're saying here.
And I'm not pouring scorn on any other
Yes.
actor.
Yeah.
We are meant to be achieving a collective goal. But for our part as ODPP, let us not be the ones who are being accused of slowing down the process. Because we didn't appear in time for the pre-trial, because we didn't have our documents in order, because a witness was here or there, or the prosecutor, or all the many stories. Let us have our ducks in row as the ODPP. If, unfortunately, there is anything that is slowing down the process, let it not come from us.
That's interesting. Document tracking. We talked about knowing where the document, as from the way when it's logged in to the end of it all. But we've also had a problem of lost files. File yako imepotea, file yako haionekani. Are we saying this is the end of it with this system? Ama bado itapotea tu?
Within the ODPP family, files don't get lost.
Okay.
What might happen
Yeah.
is that at the time you are inquiring this file,
Yeah.
it's no longer with me, and I do not know whether it is with right? So that trail can be a bottleneck in terms of tracking. But really, the file we have, if it's a duplicate, there's no value in losing it because the police already have a duplicate.
Yeah.
So the files don't get lost for that purpose. The reason why document tracking came in is to give an account on who has what and for how long has he had it.
And at what time?
And at what time. And what decision was made. So that 10 years or 15 years when Meroka is not in, someone, you can reaccount of what Meroka did. Whether I did it right or wrong, my decision is documented. And number three, it also helps us not to have a double formatting or a double decision making from within the office.
Yeah.
Because you can bring a file to me, I make a decision, and then when you are not comfortable with that decision, you black in my decision, then you present it as new to my brother Café. See, you will make another
decision
You will
again.
make another decision. But with the document tracking, people will log in and realize Meroka handled this matter, handled it this way, and then if he feels that I was wrong, he can make an opinion to recommend that we review the decisions. Yes.
The other way to look at it, Anita and viewers as well this morning, is if we ascribe to our service charter and we ascribe to our excellence charter and we tell consumers of our product that the turnaround time, for instance, if you lodge a complaint with us, is that in 3 days we will give you a response. There is no way we are going to achieve anything we promise people to achieve if we cannot track our processes. The only way we will give you feedback in 3 days, in 4 days, in 5 days is if at any point in time, whoever wants to query the system and ask where is this complaint can see that it was picked up on the 10th of September, it moved to Meroka's desk on the same day, it exited Meroka's desk on the 11th of September, and it went out to be dispatched on the 13th of September to the complainant. We have to find out at what point in the process that document is. And Uadilifu can do that for us.
So is this why you're saying it holds the prosecutor accountable?
Yes.
Unaona tunaenda kuelewa sasa.
And not just the prosecutors, because the ODPP is prosecution plus people who are not prosecutors.
Yes.
It holds the ODPP
Accountable.
accountable.
Ah, okay. So how do I interact with it as a citizen? Because this system is meant to instill confidence in how you operate. You're trying to get my trust in how you operate. You're now proactive. You're now foolproof, so to say. But then how do I interact with it as Anita?
Admittedly, it is not accessible by the general public for 2 reasons. One, it is institutional, as it were. But 2, which is the larger of the 2 reasons, is because of the sensitivity of the traffic that goes in and out of the system. You have to get rights and access to be able to see what is in the system. Otherwise, it may be subject to abuse, if not attack.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I wanted to ask about data, because with data comes responsibility.
Yes.
So how is this protected? In this era when kids are easily hacking into systems, is this thing protected, and how is it protected?
There are various levels of security that allow the information within the system to be protected. You have to gain access codes to be able to access the system, and you can only equally operate in a safe environment through a VPN, virtual private network. So outside of a VPN, you can't log into Uadilifu, you can't be able to access anything essentially that Uadilifu has to offer. So it has to be in a safe, secure environment. Yes. So you have access codes to the VPN and access codes to Uadilifu, and it has a 2, what did they say? When they send you a message on your phone.
No. I have not.
2 levels of security. I forget. There's a word for it.
Yeah.
But yes, you get a code sent to your phone that you have to input onto whatever device you're using within a certain time, and it also is sent to your email. So 2 levels of security, both for the VPN and for the Uadilifu. Yes.
Ah, okay. So let's talk about Uadilifu. Yes, Meroka.
More importantly,
Yeah.
we are being assured that our servers are protected.
This is Kenya, you're talking about servers.
The office
Yeah.
would not have gone to this system
Yeah.
without a background security levels of our systems, because that systems, that data is very critical with the office. So we trust and we believe that the office secured very efficient and secure servers for purposes of protecting our information. To the members of the public, be assured that whatever we receive is confidential and private for our own use and processing. On aspect of individual at individual level hacking, my brother has indicated, we have a code which must be sent to you as an individual to confirm that you're logging in. So nobody can log in nobody can access your credentials without you being aware. Yes.
Why was Makadara and Kibera selected to be the pilot for this? Mbona nyinyi?
When for those who are Christian amongst us,
Wow.
when Jesus was around, he deliberately walked amongst the people and chose 12 disciples. He had his own criteria and reasons for choosing them as he did, but 12 were chosen. So even with Uadilifu, Christian as we are, disciples had to be chosen, and lucky enough,
And they didn't ask why. They followed.
It was Makadara
And Kibera. So
but let me say this,
yeah.
perhaps if it makes any sense to the process or to the question, you will realize that Kibera and Makadara handle ridiculous volume of traffic, as it were. I'm not saying traffic on the road, I'm saying traffic in terms of
just
cases.
about to ask you, traffic or barabara?
Traffic in terms of cases that come to the two stations. Largely because of the sheer volume and numbers of the people who are in those locations that need access to justice, compared to perhaps Milimani or Kahawa or the other stations, sub-county stations in Nairobi. And therefore, in terms of then shaking the system, because you need to test how efficient Uadilifu is, you will not necessarily get the best response if you choose a station that has significantly lower
makes sense.
numbers coming through the system. So go for the high-ended one. If it works there, unless otherwise, it will work where the volumes are not as high.
So how big is your jurisdiction? What areas does Makadara cover? In your geography,
Makadara is huge. From practically the whole of Eastlands, you go down Jogo Road, go to Ruai, all the way up to Kamulu. If you come back this way, all the way to Kasarani, yes,
okay,
at least under Makadara.
Yeah.
Come back to Kasarani, drop down to Madare, Isili, Huruma, Pangani, a bit of the CBD.
Yeah.
Then come back now to Jogo Road, Jericho, Maringo, all those estates.
Wow. So you're saying
Machakos Country Bus, all the way back now to where the court station is. Yes.
Karibu niseme kitu mbaya, lakini so that means all the cases, all the investigative files from Makadara do not come to the headquarters to be processed.
For purposes of Uadilifu and case management, from the 3rd of September, no, they are brought.
They should go to your office in Makadara.
Me in Makadara.
Makadara wapi Lokots?
No, we have moved to, the office is now located at KCB building, just next to the Lokots.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we are on the first floor of that building.
Oh, all right. Okay. So how big is your jurisdiction? Sisi tunajua Kibera ni Kibra na ni Kibra. Hakuna kitu kingine tunajua.
I think it's not about, I hear you. It's not about
the area.
Yeah.
Now, why these stations in Nairobi? Nairobi is home to about 4 million people. If we were selected as a pilot place to run this process, if it becomes effective, as my brother said, then we are home and dry to roll it out everywhere. We are actually in the process because it has shown that we can do it.
Yes.
We are now in the process. Next phase, I think, the office is planning to do at all county or regional headquarters.
Oh, wow.
From the regional headquarters, then we go down to the counties. It might take about 6 months or 1 year, but eventually the whole country will be covered.
Yes.
Let no one think that this is a preserve for
Nairobi only. Yeah.
The system is going to be rolled out everywhere, and we're going to implement it.
Okay.
All factors being constant, we get the funding. We thank UNODC because they have been a very silent and powerful partner into this process, and we appreciate it.
But then the question still begs, how big is Kibera?
Kibera is big.
Yeah.
Kibera is big.
Not for elections. How big is Kibera?
Kibera goes up to Kabete.
Kabete?
Yes. Kibera comes up to here. Jogoro, up Capitol Hill. Kibera goes to Karen. Kibera goes to the whole of Langata.
And where is your office in Kibera?
Our office, we are housed within the Kibera Locals precinct.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Ah, all right. Okay, quite interesting. So let me just look at the comments on this. Must be Facebook, I think. So Luke Guide says now na DPP Kadebe hapo tumefanya job Lamu sote. Somebody called Luke. And then Lekan Olenanyoike, thanks. Meroka, very good. Kenudia Njenga, thanks for following. Evans Kirish Kip says, how can I be assisted? Your office lines provided on website always unanswered. I think that's not even for you to answer. It will be, unless he's specific about Kibera and and Makadara.
Either way, what they ought to be, that needs to a response either
Yes.
way. But
Yeah. So how do they get to you?
we provide our numbers, I think, on our website. But if that is not coming out clearly to anyone who wants to use it,
Yeah.
please reach out to us through the social media channels.
Okay.
The same platform they've used now.
Yeah, I think you'll get help.
Respond.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. And then Don Lama, the names, Don Lamasiv, I think.
That's a prosecutor.
Oh,
considered.
nice presentation by Edian Meroka. Good job. Kudos. Ebi Kipngeno, one of our followers. Thank you so much. He says awesome efficiency at its best. And then Eugene Pascal says, Mr. Kadebe always informs in a very subtle, convincing, and articulate way. Mr. Riechi is well versed with the process. Good work. Sasa inedi mfungue kanisa. You are you are good to go. You just need to be persuasive, and clearly you are. Oh, there's a whole letter here. Magonga, we've seen this letter, and I know you are going to be responded to by our very able prosecutors. I know they are following. There are experts who are going to get in touch with you. He's written a whole letter about a case that has been hidden ever since he brought it to the attention of KRA. So he's tagged everyone there. So it's quite a big thing for him. He's going to get help, I believe, because now, with social, he's going to get instant feedback. So why have the 80 plus KRA cases taken almost 3 years before charging them? Justice delayed is justice denied against the constitutional requirements of expeditious dispensation of justice. And I think just to bring this whole case management to what is it called? Bring it home. The stories of justice delayed, justice denied, delaying of cases. Does case manage? Is it going to sort this out?
That is the purpose and one of the purposes and intents of case management.
Yeah.
There are various reasons why matters take unnecessarily long in court.
Yeah.
Some of them at times borne by us as the ODPP, some of them borne by the defense, some of them borne by the investigators, some of them borne by the judiciary, and a myriad of people out there. We are not offering a silver bullet, as it were, and we will not promise something we cannot deliver. But to the extent that we are mitigating the reasons for case delays from the ODPP perspective,
yes,
we are not shy, we are not afraid to tell Kenyans that as an office, we will not contribute to case delays because we have deliberately transited onto a platform that allows us to handle your affairs quicker and more efficiently. To the extent that we are equally integrated with the judiciary, that then will bring down the time that it takes either to file pleadings or proceedings or some aspect that is going to court, and anything that between the judiciary and the ODPP might have taken a bit long in the past. Now, what we pray that will happen then is that the other actors in the criminal justice system, including the defense attorneys, will be as receptive to the uptake of technology and the reduction of time as some of us are deliberately trying to be, so that we completely reduce how long it takes for trials to start and end in this country. Yes.
I think that would be quite a success picture for the citizenry to see this it stops being an issue.
Yes.
Because always in this show we discuss, and people always bring it up, mbona kesi ikienda majuu inamalizika haraka na hapa Kenya kuna delays and then it just doesn't seem to see the end of it. What I didn't ask is does the case management take what is it called, does it show the victim when there's a mention of a case? Does it tell me?
That one, just before I answer it, with regard to the two comments on the group, please let's just after the forum, then we can communicate with them directly.
Okay.
With respect to the complaint which has not been responded to, and with respect to the
Did you
issue
access
of
the phone lines?
Yes.
I don't want to feel, there's a guy called Magonga. I don't want him to feel ignored. He's written a whole letter.
So that letter,
Yeah.
I'm also saying,
You, oh,
with
yes,
that
we
letter,
will get
Yes.
to
we
it.
now
Yeah.
respond to those two issues
Yes.
directly, because
Okay.
now it requires that we get a background
Yes.
and inform them personally.
That's good.
Whether this the victim will be aware. The whole spectrum of Uadilifu system, it includes a diary. That even when we now have a next date for hearing, next date for mention, or next date for judgment, that diary, we have an online diary inputted in it, where efficiently when we reach there, we'll be having the number of the victim. Then we will be receiving a text message of the matter coming up next time.
Okay.
That is how we are embracing that the system can even generate up matters which are coming up next week. You can generate matters for the whole month.
Okay.
It's almost like a diary for even a prosecutor as well as a notifier to the victim.
All right. You know,
And
we,
the beauty about what Meroka is saying in relation to the diary is, with Uadilifu, you can even pre-allocate or at some point input into the system which prosecutor is handling which matter.
good.
And therefore, if a matter, for instance, is being handled by Mr. Kadebe, it is coming up to court for hearing, and on the day of the hearing, Mr. Kadebe is unwell. He doesn't come to court. You see, at the moment, it is that interaction is fairly personal. If I'm not in court, then Mr. Meroka handles my brief, holds my brief. He may update me, he may forget. Because it is an electronic system that even the court has access to the same case. The minute I am unwell and don't go to court but Mr. Meroka steps into my shoes, on the day of the hearing, it is given a different date or a new date for the next hearing. Uadilifu will be able to pick the new date. And even in my absence, because I was not in court on that day, I will still know, without asking him, that the matter is coming next for hearing on the 12th of October. Yes.
So there is Kadebe, the prosecutor from ODPP. Now there's Kadebe, the defense lawyer. Does he have access to this system? Because when we say that delays are caused by other things, but now we are saying that now we can have mention dates clear and postponement clear. But then how does a defense lawyer interact with this case management? Because they're the ones who will pull.
No. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
The defense have access when they want to communicate to the DPP. Whatever document they have, they can still communicate with the DPP. The moment the document comes, then we now have the whole process going through.
Yeah.
If we are communicating back to them, we communicate through the same channel.
Okay.
But they don't have access to the
system.
To the system.
Okay.
But whatever, assuming they are raising a protest, they are writing in relation to requesting for a mention, then now that comes into the system.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That is how.
So they have to communicate to you.
Yes, they have to communicate.
Okay.
Because this is an internal, Kadebe indicated, this is with an in-house system.
Yeah.
For purposes of making efficient delivery
of services. Yeah.
And let's look at something. I get excited when I think about what Uadilifu can do, to be honest. Mr. Meroka just said now, let's assume he has a file that is handling in Kibera. Someone comes here to Ragati and lodges a complaint, whether orally or even in writing, in relation to a matter that Meroka is handling in Kibera. The way Uadilifu works is, he might not know that a person has come to Ragati to complain. But when that complaint is captured electronically, it will go into the bundle of documents related to his case. And looking at his case, he will realize there's a complaint that has been raised against a file that I'm actually handling. Yet that complaint was not brought to him in Kibera. That is the beauty of Uadilifu. We hear so many times that a file has been called, for instance, for directions or advice or review, and you had no idea that the file has been taken to HQ here in Ragati.
Okay.
So you're calling your officers and asking them, where's the file where the witnesses are ready for hearing? Yet Meroka is my senior, for instance, and he has called for the file for review. We are eliminating that the right hand does not know what the left hand is being positioned.
Okay. So Luke asks, a case where the kiosk tenant goes with the shelves A case where the kiosk tenant goes with the shelves for good as he vacates the kiosk, whereby they agreed with the landlord verbally for the tenant to make the shelves and not to be charged rent for 2 months, and the shelves became for the owner of the shop. What will be the preferred charge to the accused, who is the tenant? This may be not related to this, but this is just a general question.
A very quick response to that.
Yes.
We appreciate the concern or the question that he has raised. It is very difficult for any one of us or either one of us to make a decision without a file.
Yes.
We do not know what has happened. We do
Yeah.
not know what investigation has been done. So give us the benefit of a file. Report it if it hasn't been reported to the
Then it's
person asking.
investigated.
It's investigated. We will get the file. If a decision to charge has to be made, it will be made.
Yeah. I think one of the successes for this show for me would be if people, the citizenry, understands the criminal justice system and how it works. Because a lot of the time, we come throwing things at the DPP or even the police without understanding their role in the system. So, for example, Luke is putting the investigative job on you now.
Yes.
Which should not be the case.
If he hasn't reported, let him. Once those investigations are complete, it will be forwarded to the office. We'll make a decision one way or the other.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. I wanted us to discuss just a bit about Uadilifu. Uadilifu means integrity. Why the name?
Which would have been better now.
I don't know. I'm not creative like that.
We are trying to be as
Mbona mukuita tu CMS? Mbona Uadilifu?
efficient.
Yeah.
And the name speaks. If we aspire to achieve Uadilifu, we will have delivered our mandate within the ODPP.
If he can zoom to this or gain some sort of access to it.
Yeah.
We are saying in our vision as the ODPP that we want to be a just, fair, and responsive prosecution service. And you're saying in our mission that we want to provide an impartial, effective, and efficient prosecution service
Can you see it?
to all.
Yeah. Your clarion call.
That is what we want to do. That is what we wake up in the morning to do. And therefore, Uadilifu ties in exceptionally well with us realizing our mandate, the objective, and sticking to our core values.
Okay.
Mashtaka yenye haki na usawa.
Na usawa.
Yes.
That's very, very, very interesting. I think it's been an interesting discussion for me. I think I'm understanding case management better. Like we said, this is the second time we are discussing it. Are you still zooming in? Yeah. So it is incorruptible. Are we saying it is corruption is eliminated in this whole system? Can the system be corrupted? Can the person inputting the details of the file, Ushesikia mtu anasemaje, I've been charged with something I didn't do. This was not in my charge sheet. So how do you eliminate all that?
Several reasons. From our side, as we as prosecutors, before we became prosecutors, we were advocates. Sometimes people forget.
Hey,
Yes.
just repeat that. You're still advocate.
We still are. And therefore, we took an oath.
Yeah.
Ascribed to the profession.
Yeah.
But then subsequently, we asked for employment and we got employed as prosecutors. We equally committed ourselves to be persons of integrity. And therefore, barring any other reason for what it's worth, it is not an expectation placed upon any prosecutor to go contrary to what they're expected to do, one as a prosecutor or even two as an advocate. And therefore, our moral fiber ought to be founded on integrity. That aside, the entire process is not handled just by one person. My decisions will be reviewed by my superior. His decisions or her decisions will be reviewed by the superior, all the way up to the DPP. And if it means that perhaps it goes into such great detail as to looking, comparing between what is said and what the system contains, then that shall be done. And if you went contrary to what the expectation was, it shall come out in the open. So it's not a decision that starts and stops with me. It's not a decision that starts and stops with Mr. Meroka here. My work is always being looked at. And my conduct is also being investigated at all times.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe to add.
Yeah.
Just whatever decisions we're making is founded on a certain principle. Based on evidence, within the office we have practice directions. on how to analyze evidence and what meets what.
The criteria.
Right? So whatever decisions we are making should ideally conform with the criteria within the office. Where you feel that the decision is not favorable, in quotes, because people have their preferences, then there is an avenue for an appellate mechanism. The office itself appreciates that and has even a menu on review of decisions.
Okay.
Right? And then that goes up to the senior level. Sometimes it might not argue well with you as a complainant, but probably that's how bare the facts are, and that's why we're charging. Or we are not charging because that's how fair the facts speak for themselves.
Okay.
So that is protected.
All right. Okay. Integrity. Uadilifu. So Evans, this the guy who had a complaint says about contacting ODPP says that just to clarify, it's the office lines at HQ. Our file has been lying there since May 1921.
19?
May 19th, 2021.
Oh.
So maybe this one actually needs some
We'll
different
just
attention.
we'll
Yeah.
just respond to it.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. After the show. Well, gentlemen, I think we've discussed a lot of what we needed to discuss today, and I'm glad. Unless you have something that I have forgotten. There's something I always ask when you have all the evidence and all those things put up like on the case management system for whoever is involved to see. Then you have a pre-trial conference, maybe even with the court and the defense. You've already taken the element of surprise, say from the defense, even from yourselves. Then what remains now are those applications for delay and postponing. So maybe just from a citizen's perspective, there are those gaps that need to be filled, and if the system can just lock on those, then there'll be a lot of confidence built in the criminal justice system. And of course, if the file starts from the police electronically all the way to the end of the
Spectrum.
yes, then maybe, and slowly, like you're saying, it's not just one actor, but if all the actors now play one game, and we're looking forward to that definitely. As I'm not representing the citizens, I'm just speaking as a citizen. Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for coming to the show. Definitely we'll invite you again for other discussions, because clearly you guys are very persuasive in how you speak. You have some fans on social congratulating you for doing a good job. So I want to come to the end of the show.
Okay.
And thank you once again. And I hope you can come back to the show and invited yet again.
Thank you very much. It was an honor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
You are doing good work.
Thank you so much. Tuendelee. Mashtaka yenye? What's
Haki
the clarity?
na
Haki na
usawa.
usawa. Yes.
Yes.
So viewers and everybody who's joined us, I'd like to come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the comments you've made. And for those who have not had a response directly on their replies, we are going to reach out to you. There are people who are going to reach out to you to help you resolve your issues and see how best to assist you. The case management system has gone live in Kibera and Makadara. I think I forgot to ask you, gentlemen, have you now, are the investigative agencies aware that they need to come to your stations? It is the communication is ongoing.
At least I've been at it since 3rd.
Okay.
So the bulk of those who come to Makadara are coming to Makadara.
Okay.
Yes.
In my world, you call it stakeholder engagement.
Yes.
Are you bringing stakeholders on board? Yeah. So you've had case management system has gone up in Kibera and Makadara, and you're hoping it's going to get better and it's going to be scaled up to the other regions in the country. And let's see how that works. Again, it's a criminal justice system. There's a way it works. There are those who do investigations. The ODPP does prosecution. Then there's the judiciary, and of course, at the end of it, there's the prisons and the other institutions. So once again, keep engaging, keep checking on our social sites and see what you're discussing. Engage and ask questions. Like we say, knowledge is empowerment. And of course, when you are empowered and you have the knowledge, then you speak from a point of, you are informed, you're well informed and knowledgeable in whatever you want to discuss. Let's keep engaging. I want to wish you a good weekend and of course, a nice week ahead. And join us from Monday and see the topic we are going to be covering in the coming week. God bless. Thank you so much. Yeah.